I am the best make it to midnight player. Said no one ever. Today I'll be sharing 7 tips for both Bunky and survivors in Make It to Midnight. And I guarantee you'll learn something new to help you out in your next Make It to Midnight game. The first tip is to avoid completing the yellow and green generators first. I cannot tell you how many games I've played where survivors get both green and yellow, but just cannot finish up white, blue, or purple. The reason for this is simple. Yellow and green are just so far away from the other 3 generators that once you complete those 2, Bunky can easily create this golden triangle between blue, purple, and white because they're so close to each other. Let's call green and yellow the good generators, and let's call white, purple, and blue the bad generators. My suggestion is to have your first 2 generators have one good one and one bad one. Once you get those done, you can choose based on the game what your last generator should be. I personally prefer getting green and white first, and then trying to get yellow or purple, blue, depending on what. We'll talk a little bit more about generators and how you can choose the best generators to complete. The second tip is that for survivors, your priority should be to complete a generator as early as possible. This is because once you have a generator complete, a lot of the perks will start benefiting your team and give you momentum for your team to win. For example, once you get your first generator, escape enchantment is now activated for all players who have it, and it also gives player with the powering up perk extra stamina. It's even better if your first generator can be one of the bad ones I mentioned earlier. But regardless, as soon as you get your first generator, your team automatically gets a pretty strong advantage. The third tip is actually for Bunky, and it directly supports the first tip I gave. When you're playing as Bunky, your overall strategy is to make sure that the survivors don't get that third generator, because once they do, you won't be able to monitor both gates at once, and if multiple people are still alive, you won't be able to get everyone. So to make sure they don't get that third generator, you're gonna find a trio of generators, preferably the 3 bad ones. However, a lot of trios could work, which we'll talk about later. But overall, for both Bunky and the survivors, you're ultimately fighting over the completion of that third generator. And like I said, if that third generator gets complete and there's still all 4 people alive, as Bunky, you simply won't be able to check in on both gates at once. They're way too far from each other. I often hear people telling me to immediately kill someone as soon as I play Bunky and to try to focus up on one person, but to be honest, that's a little bit too risky. Having 3 people is still a really strong team, and it's better to wait it out as Bunky and make sure they don't get that third generator. Another thing for Bunky is to make sure that you make it to midnight. Nah, really? But seriously, when you're playing Bunky, once you make it to midnight, you basically go like lightning speed after some time. And once you have a good trio of generators that you can constantly defend, and you have that speed boost, you're basically unstoppable, and you've won the game. The fourth tip is also for Bunky, and it's audio. First, as Bunky, your audio settings should not have ambiance or music. And if you're playing as Survivor, I would also recommend having your music up, because Bunky's Fear Aura music is on this channel. Next, as Bunky, you should always listen carefully, because any player's interactions can be heard from even across the map. Whenever a player heals or gets jailed, you can literally hear which direction it's coming from. I'm not joking. Once you familiarize yourself with all the jail and generator locations, it's really not too difficult to get a general idea of where they're at. Here's an example.
Hello, Kerr.
Oh, hell no.
Kerr. Stay alive! I got you.
Bro, what are you doing to my teammate?
Also, whenever you kill a player, you should always listen carefully to where you hear that jail closing sound effect.
Please, please.
I heard that on my right side, so I'ma guess he's by the purple cage. I'm telling you, with this tip, you literally don't need any kind of clown radar or anything like this. This is your best way to find people. For the fifth tip, we're gonna talk about some insane hiding spots for survivors and cheese spots where you can easily escape. First, we have the infamous double crate in between the blue and red tent near the white generator. Having enough stamina here can let you lunge over these boxes, and Bunky has to walk literally around the entire tents to get you. This is a great way to make sure the white generator gets completed and to keep Bunky busy. Unless they glitch walk through the boxes. Like, what the f?
Oh my god. Well, I don't know, man.
Get Wi-Fi anywhere you go.
Next, this fence by the green tent is kind of similar. It's not as OP as the other one, but it definitely lets you lose Bunky. There's also a porta potty to help you out. Let's play a game. Which porta potty is Slat in right now? Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? Ugh. Well, if you guessed 2, you're right. The hay maze by green is filled to the brim with cool spots. Behind it, there's bushes, porta potties, but people often forget by just using the hay maze itself. There's many little corners here and there where you can just duck down and hide. Next, this whole bunch of little buildings by yellow is a great spot, especially under this panel. I always like ducking behind here and waiting for Bunky to leave. Oh my god, is that a support button? Oh my god. It's almost like you should support me in Rec Room for free by going to my account, Slat, and pressing that big support button to support me. It's completely free. You can also send me a friend request. For the 6th tip, I'm gonna briefly overview the perks. I'll tell you the best and worst perks to use. First, let's talk about the Bunky abilities. And to be honest, they're all really good. I don't really see an issue with any of them. It's honestly just your own preference. I personally like Silly Sneak because of the low cooldown, but like if you struggle finding people, use the radar. If you find that your fear aura is too revealing, use Silly Sneak. And if you just want to have a good time, use Bonky Bounce. Ah! The best Bonky perks are the ones that involve making generators go haywire. Right here, Sabotage and Butterfly Effect. I honestly think those are the most OP ones, and it slows down that entire process of getting that 3rd generator. I believe the worst 2 Bonky perks are this one here. I don't even know how to pronounce Ante-up, Ante-up, Ante-up. Ante-up. I don't even know how to say it, but it basically reduces your ability cooldown as you eliminate more people, but it will only start working once you start killing 2 people. Honestly, once you get down to like 1 or 2 people, like you don't really need to use your ability that much to win, so it's like pretty much useless. The other one I don't like is Danger in Numbers, and that's just, I guess it's kind of like personal. Like I honestly, I don't think it's ever worked for me. I don't know, maybe it's actually God tier, but it's just like never worked for me. For survivors, I suggest everyone to play with Expert Medic, this right here. That's just because the heal speed for survivors is excruciatingly slow. So even having that 30% boost can actually make a huge difference. Using something like BFF could also work, but you can't always guarantee you'll free someone from a cage. Expert Medic is just overall more reliable regarding the average circumstance as a survivor. Other perks I recommend are Powering Up, Adrenaline Rush, and Escape Enchantment. Just for context, Powering Up is this one. For each completed generator, you permanently gain 15% max stamina. It's really OP. This is Adrenaline Rush. It's a little bit higher level, but once you're weakened, your stamina is 50% faster. And this is Escape Enchantment. It's like if you have a generator complete, you can just escape the jail by honking. For survivors, there's one perk I don't recommend using, and that's Brave Scout. I absolutely love Brave Scout. It's the best perk in all of Make It to Midnight. What it does is that once you get really close to Bonky, almost to where he's gonna hit you, you can see him for 5 seconds. Oh, I got you. I got Brave Scout. Brave Scout, let's go. My Brave Scout worked. Let's go.
Yo, come here, Bunky. I'm a Brave Scout, you. Oh, wait, it's not working.
You have to wait a minute for Brave Scout to reactivate. I know.
What?
It's so bad.
Come here.
Oh, Brave Scout. Oh, Brave Scout worked again. Brave Scout.
Oh, get Brave Scout, bro.
Get Brave Scouted.
Bro, I don't know. I don't know where Bunky is, bro.
Yo,
Where is
where's
he?
Bonky, bro? I need my Brave Scout.
If you don't know how to Brave Scout.
If you don't know how to Brave Scout, hit that follow button. It's honestly so goated. And I love how it works every 60 seconds. It's almost like I can't just yell into my mic that Bonky's chasing me. Bro, the worst perk ever. I unfortunately can't say much about the last 4 Bonky perks and the last 2 Survivor perks because I haven't unlocked them yet, but I'd love to make a video discussing all the perks in the future. This last tip is about generator spawn locations. Every generator has 3 possible locations. Right here's a map that I created that shows every single possibility. You'll notice that some of them are really close together, where others can be really spread out far apart. But the main thing for you to look for, especially as Bonky, is a trio of generators. A trio of generators specifically that can form a triangle for you to easily go between. For example, like I mentioned earlier, the 3 bad generators, there's many combinations that lets you get an easy small triangle. But if you do, let's say, purple and green first, Bonky has to traverse much further between blue, white, and yellow. So what you want to do as Bonky is to look around the map and find a triangle that you can easily go between. And as survivors, you also want to identify this triangle to make sure you don't get deadlocked. One more thing that you'll notice is that every small triangle you create with this map always involves the blue generator because it's in the middle. That's why the blue generator is by far the hardest generator to complete, but if you do manage to complete it, it makes it much harder for Bonky to keep track of the other 4. Getting the blue generator first can definitely be risky, putting yourself out in the open, but if you can pull it off, you can have a much bigger advantage. If you enjoy seeing some Make It to Midnight content from me, let me know in the comments below and join my Discord server. Please.